Yeah.
Okay, I think I'm going live. Hold on. All right, take two. Let's do this. Oh my goodness. Okay.
There you go. It says it's live now.
Yay.
I love going live, but you never know what's going to happen, right? So if you had to bounce around and find us again, thank you for taking your time today. We are so excited. I have the most amazing guests, and I was tapping into the energy before we went live, and ooh, it's going to be so good. So before we get started, I just want to let you know, if you believe that these conversations will help your friends and family, go ahead and share this over to your page. Thank you. So appreciate that. And before I dive into my guests, and I just want to let you know that these conversations are really important to have, right? Never before have we experienced anything like this. And the one thing that is for sure is that we are in it together, right? So during these conversations, I don't want to make light of the seriousness of what is happening in the world, right? People are out of work, people are sick, people are dying. You know, there's maybe you have loved ones in nursing homes or hospitals and you're not able to see them right now. So we are not making light of that, right? We feel it. We, you know, our hearts and prayers go out to you if that's your situation. These conversations, however, are to see the good and see the opportunities. Every challenge has gifts, right? Every darkness, there's gifts within the challenge. So that's what these conversations are about, because if we focus on the denseness, we're going to receive more and more denseness, right? So feel free to ask questions, to share your opinion, to voice your to let your voice be heard during these calls. So I just want to say hello to Kelly and Kara. Thank you for being with us. And I want to jump right in. Today's conversation, I was blessed to have a conversation with my beautiful friend, Souli, on last Tuesday. And Souli is, she is an incredible channel, and she helps her clients tap into their own inner wisdom, their own inner voice, and shine their light into the world. And when Souli and I were connecting, we were talking about, what does it mean to be awake? What does that mean, right? And maybe you know you're awake, or maybe you're not sure if you're awake, right? So we're going to dive into that conversation as well. So thank you. Hi, Souli.
Hiya. Hello, everybody.
So do you just want to share a little bit about your own magic and why you continually say yes to me when I ask you to do these lives? Why is it important to you, do you think?
Like you were saying in the introduction, it's so important to have these conversations and also to have a support system for people, so they can get a feeling of the possibilities of this time. There is an optimism, there is a potential for something new to emerge from this, and that we all have that possibility individually and collectively. And of course, it's a situation that everybody is affected. You know, it's unprecedented, as they keep calling it. It's an unprecedented time. And everybody is affected, so we are all in this together. But there is an immense potential there and a possibility. So yeah, I think these conversations are very, very important. And they're also fun as well. They can be fun.
Yeah,
And I
I know.
always trust you. I always trust you because you kind of, there's always a lightness there as well.
Right. I love to play. I think that's my signature, right? I do love to play. And I love providing platforms for coaches and healers to share their wisdom, share their gifts, and connect while making a big difference in the world. So, thank you for playing with me all the time. I absolutely adore you.
Thank you.
I want to also introduce Michael Long. And Michael is a character. Okay, so Michael is a confidence coach, and he is a master manifester. I mean, he really knows how to live life. He loves life. I love watching his journey on Facebook. We haven't connected in a while, but every time I see him, it just brings a smile to my face because he really does know how to live life to the fullest. Hi, Michael.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You want to just share a little bit about your magic?
Yeah, so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be supporting everyone. Like you said and Souli said, we're all in this together. There's no doubt about it. There's something big that's happening. And yeah, we just have to push forward. We have to look beyond what is happening right now. And that's what I teach. I teach about law of attraction, subconscious mind, what we put out, we get back. And obviously we are all in this together, and there are things that you can do to move past the fear. Yeah.
So I often say, it's like being waist high in the mud pit, and it doesn't do us any good to focus that we're in a mud pit, right? So if we want to be out of the mud pit, we have to shift our focus to what we want instead, right?
Yeah.
So this pandemic, it often reminds me of that, like, because we can easily allow ourselves to get caught up in the denseness of what is happening. But we have choice, right, Michael? We have choice to decide the thoughts that we allow, to shift our energy and say, you know what, I'm not going to focus on that. This is what I want, and this is what I'm going to focus on instead. And you are a master at that.
Most definitely. Yeah, you're right. It is all about where you put your focus.
Right? And that's what you teach your clients. And that's why I'm so excited for you to be part of this conversation. So thank you for saying yes. So I have another very special guest, and she is a writer and a coach. She is a Reiki master and a hypnotherapist. She has her tool belt jam-packed full of goodies. This is my very first time of having the honor to play with Elena, but I'm super excited. And I'm so happy that you said yes. Do you want to just share a little bit about your magic, Elena?
Thank you, Susan. Thank you for the lovely introduction. It was more than I expected. But when you and Michael were talking about the being deep in mud, what came to mind was the lotus flower, because its roots come from the mud. So I think that's why we're all here, just to see ourselves from different perspectives and not to get too bogged down. So that's where I am basically these days. I am helping others to change their perspectives and see things from a different light without getting too stuck in the titles or whatever we can acquire or get certified. It's just to go within.
Yeah, that's beautiful, right? Because we have access to tremendous power when we just take a moment and really put our hand on our heart and just go within with the intention of receiving answers. Ask and it is given is a very real thing. So thank you for saying yes. I'm so excited for today's conversation. So I just want to say hello to Nori and Betty as well. Thank you for joining. So I want to ask the audience, because it just came, this week, I have been going within like a lot more. Like I've just been guided to really be in the silence and really just receive, right? Be in receiving mode. And what was coming through was, this is a time of great awakening, right? And last week we talked about how the universe knocked me on my butt, right? When I was going down the wrong path in my life, I was an insurance agent, right? I was a manager at an insurance agency, go figure, right? And I was getting the signs, I was receiving the signs that I was supposed to do something different. I was receiving the signs to do something else. And I had been suffering with massive pain for 3 years, but I kept pushing through. I kept pushing through. I kept going to work, even though when I got home, I'd be calling my honey saying, I'm almost home. He'd meet me out in the driveway and he'd literally pull me out of the car and up the stairs. But there was something within me that, I don't know if I felt like I had something to prove, or, you know, being born with cerebral palsy and being told that, you know, I'd never amount to anything. I didn't feel like I could take time out. So I never took vacation. I never took breaks. I just always plowed through, and I was receiving the signs. The universe is like, hey, we got something over here. You're supposed to be doing this, not this. And I knew it, but I chose to ignore it, right? And so the universe knocked me on my butt. And I feel like that's what this whole pandemic is about, right? The universe is like, hey, you guys have been asking for something better, something different, something new. And we've been telling you, hey, if you do this, it can happen. But you were too busy to listen. So as our gift to you, we knocked you all on your butt, and we pushed the pause button so that you guys can rethink where you're going. And so, okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. And I would love to hear what everybody in the audience thinks. Why do you think the whole world was shut down? Why do you think this happened? And do you think it's a good thing, or do you think it's not? I would love to hear. And please, I would love to hear from all of you on the panel as well. So what's your take on what I just said?
Well, you hit on something very, sorry, were you just about to say something?
No, it's fine. Go.
You hit on something very important there, pushing through, keep on pushing through, keep on pushing through. And I think that's what, as humanity was in that kind of mode of push through, more of the same, bigger, expand, do. And I think we've been given this gift of pausing, of slowing down, of almost like a space has opened up now where we have the possibility. There's nothing else we can do, a lot of us, most of us, but go within. I think you mentioned that, Elena. You've got nowhere to go but within, and that's where the potential of this time is. Because as you go within, there is that potential to realise that you are all. Everybody's interconnected. We're all connected. None of us are separate. We're not separate from nature. We're not separate from each other. We're not separate from everything that we see and experience. And that there is a potential within that to realise that you have a responsibility as an individual part of that whole to create something magnificent by going within and by coming from your heart, and also tending to your own garden, almost your own inner garden, and also being aware of what it is you're experiencing moment to moment. And I think that's important, and I think that's one thing you talked about beautifully there, eloquently, Susan, was that pushing through that was preventing you from stopping, and you were hit on your bum, so you had nothing else you could do but then stop and go within, and also tend to what was happening there, because I think also there's a tendency to brush over what's happening within. What is it you're feeling in this moment? If you're feeling rubbish, I nearly said something there. If you're feeling, that's that's a part of your experience, and it's something that needs to is waiting for your attention. So I think it's important not to brush over what you're experiencing in the moment, and keep bringing yourself back to the moment and tending to your own inner garden, or whatever it is that you're experiencing in the moment.
Right. So some of our viewers might still be staying super busy, right? And but that might be like me. Like, I really didn't want to look within. I didn't want to see what was going on within me. And so, Michael, you wanted to say something too. What are your thoughts about this whole thing?
My thoughts are pretty much the same as Souli's. I mean, I think it's given us the potential to basically not only focus on what's important to us, but also to focus on where we're going. I mean, we're all going somewhere in life, aren't we? In every single moment. And just because this is happening, it doesn't mean to say that it's going to last forever, or that there isn't something waiting us the other side. But it's really given us the opportunity to go within and to look at ourselves. What's important? Where are we going? What are we feeding our minds, especially our subconscious mind? So yeah, that's my view, really. It's just go within, see where you're at, be okay with that, and change a few things. Because as you know, our thoughts become things. So
it's so true, right? And it's so amazing to say that we know that now, but I didn't know that before, right? I didn't know that if I only took time to go within, that I would receive the answers that I've been seeking my whole entire life, right? So exactly. So how do you know if you're awake? And I want to first ask Elena, do you have anything to add on that conversation? Like, why do you think the universe had to knock us on our butt? Or do you think that it had to happen this way? What are your thoughts, my love?
Thank you, Susan. I agree with all of you. We were on automatic pilot. And as a result, we weren't paying attention to our feelings, because although the time has come for everyone, we've been giving gifts. It's a new age in respect to the planets, to the energies that we're receiving. And although some may not be involved in all of this as to the universal laws and know about the law of attraction, it works. It's like feng shui. It's the law of gravity. It all affects us. And to me, it means that we weren't paying attention to our feelings, and our feelings are our compass. And this gave us an opportunity to really tune in to ourselves by listening to what really makes us happy.
Yeah. And to really talk about, are we happy, right? Are you happy? Because I thought I was happy until I knew that I wasn't. Does that make sense?
Sorry, guys.
That's okay. People pop in and pop off and pop up and pop down all over the place. That's
my iPhone is so hot, so it went into emergency mode.
That's okay. So I want to just read something that Kara wrote. She says, it's a good thing. It's a chance to bring in the new energies as a race, we are so used to controlling everything, but everything being at the mercy of us. This has shifted us into a state of relinquishing and surrendering. Yes, yes, yes. Beautifully expressed, Kara. And Robin is saying, hello, Robin, so happy you made it. This is a new awakening, and it's a time of inner reflection to release what no longer serves us and to expand into the new and higher energy direction, right? Like, we see things happening on the physical level, right? We see, you know, we see things are shut down in the parks and the social distancing and all of that. We see that, right? But I feel like that the earth is being shifted into a higher energy, right? A higher, I don't even know the words to describe it, but it's like this higher consciousness, right? Where maybe others weren't tuned in at some time, but now it's like something that can no longer be ignored. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Help me out, people. Help me out here.
Perfect sense. Sorry, Elena.
No, that's all right. It does make perfect sense. And it's time. It's like the veil is being lifted. And although we had all these things that we were conditioned to say that, you know, the new car or the new house or the new clothes or everything was making us happy, or the plum job. But now that it was all right taking away, and that we have to be here at the house, in your own home, with your family, it's like you have to really look at the relationships. You know, even the basic needs were even were put in jeopardy, quote unquote, because I mean there was a run on toilet paper. I mean,
Like,
you know, it's just
seriously,
like
people don't understand, like the toilet paper issue was a real issue. We were down to our last 2 rolls. There was not a roll in sight. I'm serious. Like, I know other places in the world, they're like, we have plenty of toilet paper, no problems. But the United States, like, we went a little bonkers on the whole toilet paper thing.
So dear.
We did here, didn't
we're
we?
used to so much. We're used to being able to get what we want when we want it at the time, to know, just at the blink of an eye, which is so instant gratification that the fear of not having it, it's just like when you're in Florida, if you hear that a hurricane's coming, everybody goes and there's not a water bottle in sight. I mean, we hoard everything because it's we go down to Maslow's pyramid, the basic level of existence. So
Yeah.
it's like this helps us to see, okay, it's not just about that. That's not okay. Hoarding the toilet paper, okay, I have it, it's a need, but you know, I'm still me without going out and putting on my suit or going into court and defending a case, or I am still me. If my name is not Elena Goycoechea, I still am who I am. I don't need all those labels because it's your essence. It's who you are. And that's what makes you in reality happy. And it's by going in and tuning into that is what this is all about. In my humble opinion, that's what this is about.
And so this is awesome because when I was bedridden and I have to use the only frame of reference that I know for my own awakening, right? I was laying there flat on my back, like drugged up on so many pills and a pain patch, where this electrical storm was raging within my body. Like, even to put my foot on the floor would make me cry. And so when I had my awakening, when I couldn't hold a conversation, and I couldn't walk, and I couldn't stand for more than 5 minutes, right? So I had no choice but to go within, right? And so in that silence, just like you said, Elena, that it was like the veil of truth was lifted. And all of a sudden, and for me, I know it happens differently for everyone, but for me, it was like all of a sudden, like in that instant, I had this understanding of everything. I can't explain it other than that. It was like I understood where I was not honoring myself. I understood where I was not showing up in my relationships. I understood like who I am in truth is spirit, right? Who I am in truth is whole, perfect, and complete, and that we are expressing in human form. And I just had this massive understanding, and I feel like everyone watching this and everyone that will watch the replay, you now have the opportunity to have your own veil lifted, not only for why is this happening globally, but for you personally. And it's not in judgment, but it's in love, where you're shown the truth. And when you know the truth, it changes you forever. And you show up in the world differently, and you look at everything through the eyes of spirit. Like you no longer feel the need to win or judge or be right. You know what I mean? You just have this understanding that everything is perspective, and it's okay if you don't agree with me. And it's okay. What makes my way right and your way wrong? Perspective. That's all it is, right? And isn't that the sweetness? Isn't that the juiciness of being here on this planet, that we get to have our own views, we get to have our own experiences, we are each unique. And isn't that the beauty of it all? Like, I have so much to say in that, but I just want to give it over to you guys. What do you want to say to that? And what do you guys in the audience, what's your perspective on this? Have you had the veil lifted, or are you still wanting the veil to be lifted, or do you not want to see, right? Because it's all choice. It's all choice. Okay, panel, this is where you come alive.
No, I'm just sorry, Doug. Carry
Go
on.
ahead, Souli. You go ahead.
No. You carry on, Elena.
No, go. I went before you before. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. I've just got something hovering, and usually I get a really itchy nose, and I'm waiting for the really itchy nose, and it's not really itchy.
Okay, well, I invite you to invite them if you feel called to.
Well, I'm getting a sense. Oh, okay. I'm getting a sense that they want me to speak from my own experience, but they'll transmit through me.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So they won't actually. It won't be their words. It will be my words, but they'll be transmitting an understanding or something that will tap into people's ability to connect with the truth.
Okay,
So,
beautiful.
So what they want me to say is, you can use this as a meditation. I'll be as brief as I can. Those who know me, that I'm not that good at
You be as long as you need to be. It's all good, baby.
So what they say is, or what I'm sensing and what they're sensing for me to talk about is how I experience connectedness, how I experience the interconnection of all things. And as I talk about my experience, the people who are listening can have their own experience, have the possibility of opening to receiving their own experience of that. And they can come along with me, they can come along and they can follow my words if that works for them, or they can actually sink into their own experience of that, if that makes sense. So talking from my own experience, I would be connecting with my heart. You can close your eyes if you feel drawn to do so, you don't have to. Whatever you feel drawn to do is perfect for you. So if you put your hand on your heart, and the beings are assisting, and you can assist yourself by dropping like a tennis ball into your heart center from your head, And just imagine being in your heart center, and from that space I'm getting a sense of the fact that I'm connected with all of you guys, everybody who's watching it. And this is not a time thing, it's anybody who watches throughout time. I feel that there's a heart-to-heart connection there, and it's almost like there's filaments of light connecting all of us, and that there's a radiation from the heart center, if you will, that's connecting all of us. It's extremely beautiful. But then closer to home, I'm realizing that I'm connected to everything around me. So I'm connected to the seat. The seat is energy. The table with the laptop on, all of it is a part of who I am, and I'm a part of it. And then stretching out through that, through the heart center, you can actually move out to where you are, and there may be mountains around you, there may be hillsides, there may be a city, but there'll be nature there somewhere, and you may connect with it through the ground. But if you just send your feelers out, almost your energy out, your awareness, your consciousness out, and connect with all the nature around you. And now I'm hearing a bird singing outside my window, but I am that bird, or that bird is me, or are we? Are we separate, or are we the same? I can even get a sense that I might be the bird's song. There's a sense that the tree that that bird is sitting on, that I can feel, and I can sense a connectedness with that tree. And then through that tree, I can feel the earth beneath that tree. And then you can expand out and expand out and expand out. You can expand out so that you can engulf the whole planet with your awareness. Go as far as you feel drawn to do. And even if that is only within your own space, that's enough, because you're starting something. It's almost like you're starting the ball rolling. You're actually connecting with a greater awareness that you are not just this physical form. In fact, you aren't this physical form. This physical form is something that is assisting you at the moment to experience this extraordinary possibilities of being alive. You've got your emotional bodies that are so rich and have so much information there. And then you've got your mental bodies that are constantly going, but you can be aware of that and let it be okay, and understand that you are not your thoughts. And you can just keep expanding out and expanding out, expanding out, until you, if you choose, you can become the cosmos. You can become all that is. You can become, and then realize from that place that you are a part of this, all of this, part of source, whatever you want to call it. You are. And then the presence starts to arise from out of that. And you start to be aware that you are that presence. And then from that space, amazing things can happen. But connecting with nature, I think, is one of the jewels and the gems of this situation. And not just the nature that surrounds you. You have your own inner garden of your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, and all of that is so important. And so, as Mikey said so beautifully, then from that space you can figure out what it is, who it is that you are, what you want, where you want to go. But by being in the moment, and by being in the moment in your heart space, I think that's all, and I hope that you gleaned something from that. That was my personal experience, but I hope that you were experiencing your own experience at the same time. So yeah, I think that's, and then bringing yourself back to your heart center, and bringing yourself back to the temple of your heart space, where all the information is, all the data, everything you need know is, and breathing into that space. Yeah.
That is so beautiful, right? Oh, that's so powerful. Because we are everything. We're all of it, right? We are all of it. I remember when I was healing from being bedridden, and I was out in my yard and I could feel the breeze going through my face and my hair, and this realization that I am the wind, I am that breeze, right? And so that was so beautiful. I want to share that Robin is saying, my veil has been lifted and my gifts are coming out. It's wonderful, right? It's wonderful. So in this awareness, of your own truth, right? Because in truth, you are all of it. You are everything, right? We are energy expressing in this human form. And like Souli says, we are not our bodies, right? We are not our bodies. We are free. We are completely free. And so I know we've gone deep really fast, and this might be a little too much for those watching. So I'm gonna rein it back a little bit, right? So if you can just imagine that you are in truth limitless, there are no walls, there are no boundaries, there are no walls, right? And you can be, do, or have anything. And this is not just rhetoric. This is truth. This is the truth of you. You are endless. You are all of it. So I would love to hear thoughts on what came through Souli. I would love to hear thoughts.
I know, diving in at the deep end there.
That was so beautiful. And you and I are very connected. So I always feel like this rush of energy that goes right through my body, and then warmth, right? It's like wrapped up in a blanket. It's so amazing. But this is the truth, right? So even though, how can we bring this back to the pandemic? So even though you're seeing all this denseness and you're seeing the news stories and you're seeing the suffering, is the message that all is well, right?
I think it gives us an opportunity because through the sickness, sometimes your heart needs to break in order for the light to go in, as Rumi says. And you experienced an illness, I experienced an illness. We don't have to experience an illness, but we get so caught up in the busyness that we're not paying attention to the signs. And what are the signs? Our body, our emotions get stuck in our bodies, and those are the causes of the illnesses. So each illness has a root cause. And in order to be able not just to treat the symptoms, you have to discover what was not working for you. Why weren't you listening to yourself? Because we're always getting messages. It's our little voice. It could be the critic, or it could be a different voice, which is like an answer that you receive when you're not even searching for answers. It's not the voice that tells you, no, you can't do that. Who do you think you are? But it's the voice that tells you you're on the right path, or this is happening because blah, blah, blah. But you know the difference. You can feel it. So I think this is an opportunity for you to stop and pause. You were forced to pause because you weren't choosing to stop being busy. And in the busyness, you can't listen to the stillness.
That's so true. And thank you. You brought it back very eloquently because we didn't listen, and that's why we were knocked on our butt. And even though at the time we may have in the beginning felt like it was happening to us, we then came to the understanding that it's all happening for us, right? So this pandemic, depending on your perspective, can be the best thing that ever happened to you, or it could be the worst thing. And it's truth, right? It's your truth, your perspective. You get to choose. And isn't that beautiful? So as the universe is giving you this gift of locking down and shutting down and pausing everything, you can either accept that gift and give yourself that gift of going within, or you can look for ways to stay busy, and the choice is yours, right? Michael, what's going through that beautiful head of hair.
Yeah, see, for me, it's taken a lot of patience and a lot of perseverance and a lot of trust. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to fully trust in themselves because of the conditioning that we've had when we were younger. So it's about being patient with yourself. It's about looking after yourself. When you're aware of something that's bothering you or there's an emotion that's coming up that's negative, it's about standing back and looking, like Elena said, looking at the problem, what is going on in your mind at that time, what isn't working, and then choosing to step forward into a new decision, make a new decision and work on that. And it's perseverance that pays off, and persistency. It's key. It's working it daily and not just keep going back and back and back.
That's so beautiful. So one of the things that I do every day is I invite my guides, my angels, to be with me, right? If somebody's, you know, I want to talk about for a minute, like, it's so easy to get sucked into the news, and it's so easy to get sucked into the denseness. What would you say to those that are afraid? And I'm going to start with Souli because I know she has to leave soon. But what would you say to those that are totally engulfed in what they can see and they don't know how to look beyond it? What would you say to them, Souli?
Gosh, big question. There are so many resources out there. I mean, that's one thing that's so wonderful at the moment. There are, for instance, these conversations we're having now, there are so many, if you look on YouTube, there are so many resources as, for instance, I'm doing Qigong quite a lot at the moment, and Eden method, energy work and what have you, and working with Nori Love, bless her, beautiful soul. And anything that can assist them to bring them back into the now. I mean, I'd say meditation, but a lot of people kind of balk at the idea of meditation, thinking it's you have to silence your mind and you have to, but there are so many different types of meditation, but that's another possibility. Anything that can, breathing deeply, holding their hands on their heart, don't, you know, okay, we all need to know what's going on. I'm not saying don't, but I know that my mum used to watch 24/7 the news. She'd have the news channel on, and I'd very gently, when I came over to visit her, when she was sitting there racked, I mean, at the moment, I don't know what she'd do if she was still here. Well, it doesn't bear thinking about. But I used to come and very gently I'd switch over, and, you know, she was fine with that. But it was kind of like an addiction. To try and break that addiction, to try and open up to the possibility that there's something happening here. There's a possibility here. Honoring how you feel in the moment. I'm not saying deny, and I kind of more and more recently, I've been realizing how important it is to honor your feelings. Like you were saying, Elena, it's so important to honor your feelings and honor how you're feeling in the moment. But it's a really difficult one because it can be an increment in one direction, a shift in one direction that can make all the difference. And I think it's by bringing yourself into the moment, because I think a lot of the fear comes from projecting into the future with fears of something that's maybe happened now that suddenly becomes a past, and then you're projecting it into the future. So, but if you keep thinking of coming back to the now in whatever way that might be, breathing, some form of energy work, some form of movement, dancing, putting a pair of headphones on and dancing, you know, whatever it is for you, singing, something that brings you back into the moment and uplifts you in some direction, in some way, to shift, because once you shift, even in an increment in a different direction, that can open up a whole new vista to you. But I think honoring how you feel in the moment and being aware of what it is that you feel in the moment is really important and is a starting place, Because until you are actually aware of what it is you're feeling, I spent most of my childhood not aware of what I was feeling. But once you start to become aware of how you're feeling, then you have the potential to heal it, basically, to move through it, to flood it with your awareness and your love.
And that's such a good point, because, you know, don't make your feelings wrong. If you are in fear, if you are anxious about what's going on, don't make yourself wrong. Just honor who you are, but know that fear and peace cannot live in the same house, right? And so it's just choosing every moment. How do you want to feel instead? Even though you're not ignoring any feelings, because unprocessed emotions are the most dangerous for us. But to know that you can shift that simply by putting your hand on your heart and breathing, like Souli said, right? Just close your eyes when you're feeling fear or overwhelmed. Just put your hand on your heart and just take a few deep, slow breaths, and then move on, and it's okay. I would love to hear the perspective of Michael and Elena. Elena, am I saying that right, or is it Alana?
No, that's fine.
Okay. How do you say it? Because I hate when I butcher.
say it in Spanish. It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, it matters a little because it's your name. Right?
But it's just like, look, as a child, it was called Elena. It depends, from a Southerner, Elena and Elena, the Italians. So, I just say Elena. So,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
It's the same name pronounced differently.
Awesome.
Rose by any other
Thank
name.
you.
I was going to say that.
Thank you. So I want to share what Robin wrote. She said, we're moving from 3D, our ego mind, to begin seeing in the higher 5D level of that there is more than just our life here on Earth, putting energy into others, not just ourselves, right? Because we are energetic beings, like no longer holding the perspective that we're just this body, right? No longer just holding the perspective that this is all it is. So I want to just move beyond this conversation and I just want to bring up the fact that, the universe did a great job of shaking up the world, turning it upside down and inside out. And it's all for our highest good. Many are choosing to exit the earth at this time. But moving beyond this in this new awakened state, right? What do you see that's happening now, right? That maybe other people might not see it, but you see this as a positive sign of things to come.
If I may just say one thing.
Okay.
For anyone, first, what I see is that is giving us our focus more on gratitude and appreciation, more, which we normally took for granted before. But I want to bring this down. Suppose someone doesn't believe or is not at the state that we believe and only feels, well, I don't believe in guides. I don't believe in this. I don't believe. You have a free will. We all have a free will. And we have a choice. And it's all about the choices that we make. So whenever you're feeling, all you have to do is pay attention to your feelings. And if you're feeling angry or sad, is asking, how am I feeling? Why am I feeling this way? And how do I wish to feel? Those are just basic questions without taking it further into spirituality if you are not ready for that. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that, right? Because some people might be like, no, that sounds too freaky. What the veil is going to be lifted and who's going to lift it. And it might be very scary to some people to think of that. But if you could help them be less afraid, what would you say to them?
You would ask them, if you're afraid, if you listen to the news and you're always harboring on the fear, keep asking yourself, what am I afraid? Okay, afraid that I'm going to fail. Okay, so what if you fail? Okay, what's going to happen then? What's the worst case scenario that can happen? I lose my job. Okay, so what if you lose your job? You can get another one. You know, maybe closer to what you want. Is it where you're really happy in that job? Keep asking yourself questions, drilling it down until you know what the root cause is. There always is a root cause of that fear. And that fear can go down to, I don't feel I'm worthy, or I don't feel I deserve this, or I don't feel that I'm not enough. So it's just drilling down and being honest. You don't have to tell anyone but yourself. You're only pleasing yourself, and you don't need to rely on anybody else to tell you that you are wonderful. You are wonderful just by being alive and being born.
Yes,
you are perfect
beautiful.
as you are. You don't need validation. I mean, I suffered with that for a long time. I know I've worked on this. So it's not something that I have not worked on or something that I know is not possible. So it's just being in tune to your inner compass, your feelings. You want to know the truth about who you are? Look to your feelings. As Souli said, it's always being in the moment, enjoying the moment. And as Michael said, persistence and perseverance, because it's your choice to move along. And I just wanted to get that in to bring it down a little bit to people who don't believe in what we've been saying before.
Right? Because I'm like listening to myself talk about lifting the veil, and all of a sudden I could see all of this, and it's true. Like, I might be speaking from a space and somebody might be 100 miles away from there, right? But just, I think the message, and I would love to hear from Kara and Robin and Nori, whoever, and Betty, whoever's listening right now. What would you say to somebody that's afraid of knowing their own power, right? From knowing their own power, from experiencing their own power, right? Because it all comes down to, we are so much more powerful than we give ourselves credit for, and that we even know. And when we can tap into that inner voice, that inner knowing, that understands that in truth we are whole, perfect, and complete, there's nothing broken and nothing needs to be fixed, that we are of the one. So how do you help somebody understand their own power? Like, how would you put it in the most simplistic of terms, Michael? What would you say to somebody that they're just starting their journey here?
Well, yeah, I mean, I like you were saying, when you're mentioning about unveiling and everything, some people just don't get it. I was one of those people. I never used to get this stuff. I used to be depressed, and I've got the old story, I've got the old programming. And like Elena says as well, our emotions, it's about listening to your feelings, which are coming from those old programs that are running in the background. And we take everything for granted almost to a degree. So we have to literally stand back and look at what we're doing to ourselves. And from that perspective, we can then make a new choice and decide to focus on what makes us feel good, what makes us feel better. And the better you feel, the better things get, the more confidence you have in yourself and in your own abilities to manifest the life that you want. I would say stop watching the news. I mean, I don't watch the news at all. I used to watch all the soaps, all the dramas. As soon as I stopped watching all that, my life changed just from that, because I was making everything real, what I was watching. And when you make something real in your mind, that's what you're creating in your reality. So, yeah.
That's beautiful, right? Because the news, it's an organization, it's a fear-based business. The way they hook you in is making you afraid that if you don't watch, something bad's going to happen, right? So I love that you're a mindfulness coach as well, right? That you deal with the subconscious, you understand how the mind works, etc. That it's very important, especially at this time, that we are very careful of what we allow in our mind, right? And what we don't. So when I always come back to when I was bedridden, because that's my story, right? But I was dying. Like when I was bedridden, I knew that I was dying. I could feel it, I knew it, and I knew that I had to do something drastic. So one of the first things I did was I deleted all the negative people on my Facebook page, right? I deleted all the negativity, and then I joined every positive group that I could find. Like I was like a fanatic. Like I just wanted to have all those positive affirmations, that positive stuff. And I stopped watching the news. And like you, Michael, I was addicted to the news. Like I watched news 24 hours a day. Like I was addicted to the drama of it all. And I really think that aside from doing the inner work, the meditation, the guided meditation, the frequency music, the sound healing, etc., what saved me was really being careful what I allowed into my own personal space and what I allowed in my mind. Instead of watching the news, I would watch comedies, right? And so I would watch The Big Bang Theory or Friends or some movie to make me laugh and uplift me. And just doing that changed my life. It really did. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So Elena, what would you say if somebody's just starting their journey and they're not ready yet to lift the veil, right? Or they're like, oh, I know something's going on. I'm feeling that I'm changing, things that I used to think were important just aren't anymore, and they're just now seeking to find answers, but they're not yet at that space of lifting the veil. So they're kind of a little skeptical. What would you say to them?
It's questioning your beliefs, asking yourself, okay, I believe this. Why do I believe this? Who does it come from? Did it come from my parents? Did it come from the teachers? Where did I hear this? Did it come from the church? How did I acquire this? Because we cannot form a belief until we accept it and allow it into our consciousness. And when we allow it, just because we can also have the power to release it and remove it and to replace it with something else. So it's by focusing on what you believe, questioning, and saying, okay, I might have been that person then, but is that who I am now? Is that who I desire to be? If the answer is no, because you're questioning it, so okay, what do I need to do to move along to become the person I desire to be? And do I need to obtain new skills, new education, whatever, or just being more in tune to my feelings. I keep coming back to feelings because your feelings, thinking is creating. And in order to manifest, you need to add your feelings, your emotions to something to make it more powerful. The more emotion that you have attached to something, to a belief or to an idea, the more enthusiastic you are about working, taking steps towards that goal or towards that dream. And that's how you'll manifest. So thinking is creating. What you say also has power. So even if you write something down, just get an idea, write it down, what you feel strongly about you. So just
ask you each, like, and I'm asking the audience too, if you want to share and about the remote learning, right? I love that children are learning remotely. If your family doesn't want you, am I still on? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing. But what, like, I'm passionate about the remote learning, right? Because I think it opens, us are shutting down, the music's shutting down, all the creative outlets that we grew up with are no longer available, or inspiration or creativity, imagination, right? It's our imagination, because I really feel like this will open up the world. And maybe if a child, so I think that that could open things up, and then in children gathering. So what is something that you would like to see?
And just
That's okay.
yeah, I think imagination, just keep using your imagination. Really not. If I said to you now, think of a purple elephant, you're going to see a purple elephant, even if you've got your eyes open. So it's
a little jealous there. You're looking really tan and I'm like pale. Where you are, like in your society, like here we're remote learning, our leaders are stepping up in a whole, that you would like to see it go beyond this pandemic.
Oh, I mean, I think it's just the appreciation for each other, the respect for one another, the not crossing over into different people's boundaries, and yeah, just respecting the environment as well. That's so important. I mean, the air's clearer, there's hardly any pollution, the sea's clearer, the water's clearer. So yeah, respect the environment is quite a big one, looking after that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, right? Like to really like be more mindful of the emissions that we're putting into the atmosphere. Absolutely. Do you think that innovation and inspiration is going to come from this lockdown that will help the environment?
Most definitely, yeah. I think it's changing a lot of people's perspectives, and yeah, once you come to a new point of view and a new perspective, there's no going back. You just have to keep going with it.
Right, because just that break that we're having in the clean air, right? I mean, our children's children might have to wear masks, not for a pandemic, but because the air is not clean, right? So that's being shown like a big, huge flag, right? That was one of the biggest first things that got noticed, was how much cleaner the air is due to the shutdown. So yeah, I totally agree. I love that. Yes. And I know Souli would agree too, because she's like, the grass is greener and the trees are happier and the birds are singing louder. You know what I mean? Like our nature is really breathing a sigh of relief. So Elena, what is something that you're seeing in society that you would like to see carry forward?
I love the way how people are rethinking how they're being of service, and how they are, of course, online learning for children and for adults, for everyone. We're doing everything online. There's no other choice. So whether it's shopping or anything, I think it's growing more by leaps and bounds. But what I love is the unity that has forced upon us all. Yeah. And also by appreciating our families more and who we are and our environments and what we did, and questioning, okay, did I really enjoy doing that? Or how, and looking at how can you entertain yourself now and what's really important to you? So that carrying forward as to making your own priorities, to tuning into what makes you happy.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yeah, so I just love what I'm seeing, you know, in my surroundings of just so much kindness and so much generosity and really this unity. One of the best things about what's happening is that we are in it together. There's not one person that this is not affecting. So what a gift to be able to talk to Michael in England and talk to you in New Jersey and talk to like Ingrid in Belgium and, you know, talk to Lynn in Norway. Like, it is a global awakening. So we are in it together, and isn't that so beautiful?
And people are connected, especially online, as you said, Eleanor. People are getting together, families are getting together, even though they're distancing apart. They're getting online and they're video calling, they're playing games, they're doing quizzes together. It's pulling people together, definitely.
Yeah, I agree, and thank you for that. So thank you so much for being here, for sharing your gifts, sharing your wisdom. I so enjoyed this conversation, and I hope you did too.
Yes.
I did put the guest sheet that gives you the opportunity to connect with the guest experts. And that's in the Facebook group if you would like to connect with them, or if you have questions specifically for them, feel free to ask it in the Facebook group. They'll check in. Just go ahead and tag them. And I would love to hear more from all of you viewing, whether you're viewing it with us live or viewing it in the replay. Like, what would you like to see in the world? I would love for you to maybe you can do a video in the Facebook group, or even do a Facebook post of what would you like to see in the world when all of this is over. And I will leave it at that and just give you both the opportunity to say a few parting words, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I just thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here with you all. And I hope now people can start just unraveling those, or getting in touch with their emotional side more, and being able to choose what they want and how they want to feel. And just remember, what you focus on expands. So just keep focusing on what feels good.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, thank you. And Elena?
Thank you very much, Susan. It's been wonderful. I enjoyed being here with all of you. And I just want to say to remember, you have a choice. You always have a choice. And it's just as easy to think positively than to think negatively. It takes less effort to think positive and be happy than to be sad. So just remember that. Be happy, what makes you happy, and tap into that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm just going to leave you with this. When I was bedridden, I thought I was dying. And the doctor said that I would never work. I would never really be able to walk again. I was on so many pills, I couldn't even have a conversation. I was shopping for wheelchairs and scheduling a surgery to have a pain pump inserted in my body. They labeled me as permanently disabled. And it was when I decided that was not going to be my story that I was able to heal within 4 months. So that's the power you have within you. So if there is a situation, if there's something that's happening in your life, ask yourself, is that your belief or is that someone else's? And then choose. You choose. You have choice to allow that to be your story or rip that label off and choose to write your own story in the way that you desire it to be. And so with that, thank you, and
Here.
many, many blessings, much, much love to all. Mwah.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.